I grew up getting to have dinner at 5:30, and I cherish that time, that dinner table time. And I think for kids these days, between technology and parents are just like, just eat. And I get that, you know what I mean? Just like, but they'll like let them have the iPad at dinner, and there's no judgment to this. It's just like what I need and like what I see my kids need.
You're listening to the MILF Podcast. This is the show where we talk about motherhood and sexuality with amazing women with fascinating stories to share on the joys of being a MILF. Now here's your host, the MILFiest MILF I know, Jennifer Tracy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is MILF Podcast, the show where we talk about motherhood, entrepreneurship, sexuality, and everything in between. Wow, I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas, if you celebrated Christmas. If you didn't celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a wonderful week. So this is the last MILF interview of 2018. Almost getting emotional saying that. I am getting emotional saying that. This has been an incredible year birthing this project and getting to interview absolutely incredible women. And it shall continue and expand in 2019. And I'm so excited for more. I love doing this. And I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and for being a part of this growing community and for your support. And I wanted to remind you guys that I'm still doing this giving month of giving in December, where I'm going to be giving for every iTunes review that MILF Podcast gets. I'm going to be donating $3 to Every Mother Counts, which is a beautiful organization that helps mothers everywhere in the world receive proper medical care, maternal care, pregnancy, health care. And so when I announced that last week, I got this really beautiful review on iTunes from Cato Jet. It's funny, you can't really tell who the person is, and I also can't reply to them unless there's some trick I don't know about. But anyway, I wanted to give her a shout out and say thank you so much for this beautiful review. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. I'm so incredibly grateful for this podcast, for Jennifer for conceiving it, and for the pure beauty of each guest. It is so refreshing and heart fulfilling to listen to and slip into the spoken story of each woman. On the day I was introduced to this special place, I was feeling so disheartened and disconnected by the Los Angeles landscape. And Jennifer mentioned this podcast. It's someone I know and I don't know who it is, or someone I met somewhere because I talked to everybody. This podcast she does, and I haven't stopped listening since. I look forward to each journey. I've been craving this kind of discourse since I arrived in LA 18 years ago and feel so much awe and respect. Jennifer is an incredible host. Thank you. With her giant heart and raw humor. Thank you for this and all the laughter, tears, and tips. What a lovely review. So thank you for that. And that will be included in my donation to Every Mother Counts at the end of the month. So I'll wait until January 1st, until everything is all in, and then I'll write a check. And I will be telling you guys, I hope the check's really big. I really hope you guys make me write a big check. But I'm going to be doing this every month in 2019. I'm going to be choosing a different charity to do this with. It's just one very small way of giving back, and especially to charities and organizations that help women, mothers, and children. So that's that. I also wanted to mention that in case you noticed this, my wonderful team and I recently changed the rating on my podcast to explicit. So there is a parental advisory. Now, if you're new to the show and you haven't heard it, there are some episodes, for example, the one today, that I don't think there's a single curse word in this episode. There might be one or two, but some episodes more so. Some we drop a few F-bombs. Some we talk about sex toys. Some we talk about sex, so it's not that it's overly explicit show, but I think we just wanted to be really open about that. And that, if you're driving from carpool, you may not want to have it running just because the kids might say, "Mommy, what's a hard on?" or what's foreplay? unless you are ready to have that conversation, which again, my philosophy is always if they're old enough to ask the question. But again, like it's where are you introducing the stuff? And that's totally your discretion. But just I wanted you guys to be aware of that. So that's that. And then I'm going to just get on with the show because I never usually talk. My God, I've been talking for 5 minutes. I've never talked this long in the introductions, but I had a lot of stuff to catch you guys up on. Oh, I can't believe I forgot this. This is very exciting. So we're having our first contest. I even kind of set it up. I mean, I'm going to take credit. I did set it up online. My team helped me execute the rest of it because I'm a little I'm pretty savvy tech-wise, but not really that savvy. But I got pretty far with it. Anyway, it is called the 12 Days of MILF-mas. MILF-mas, that's hard to say. It's called the 12 Days of MILF-mas contest. And so starting on Christmas Day, when we launched this, we have been giving away one MILF t-shirt or tank, your choice, for the 12 days of Christmas. That's one part of the contest. The other part of the contest, which is so exciting, is that the top 3 entrants, because there's all these ways you can enter and get points, and very exciting, this technology business. Like you can get more points by following me on Instagram and liking this thing and subscribing to the podcast. And I don't know, it's very interesting. I didn't know how all this worked, but now I do. So the top 3 entrants, the people who have the top 3 entrants will win a MILF tea or tank of their choice and 7 of my favorite female-centric books. So I have those listed on the contest so you'll know what those are. And I'm very excited about this. So they're all by female authors. Some are fiction, some are nonfiction. And they're just books that have inspired me not only to continue telling stories in my own fiction writing, but in the podcast. And also it's just such a testament to how powerful women's stories are and how much we need them and continue to need them. That is that. Check that out at milfpodcast.com. And today's episode is episode 27 with Catherine McCord, the beautiful, amazing, gracious, and lovely Catherine McCord of Weelicious. I went to her home and we sat down and we talked in her family room. It was such a pleasant, relaxing day, and I didn't want to leave her house. I actually really did want her to adopt me. I was like, God, I want her to be my mom. Her home is beautiful and very lived in. I mean, it was very clean, but it was like she has 3 children and a husband, and there was just like things happening. When I came, there was a friend over, her friend, and then her son was getting ready for school, and the daughter had gone on a field trip that Catherine had to drop her off at 6:30 a.m. And the husband was taking the kid to school, and then the baby was sleeping. I was like, oh my God, this is so impressive. All while she's running basically 2 businesses. She has Weelicious and then she has One Potato. So, and by the way, she comes to the door and she's just so pretty. Like, it's just so naturally pretty. Like, I don't think she had any makeup on. Maybe she did, but just like naturally beautiful. And just really beaming with kindness. This woman just has so much kindness in her. And it was such an honor to sit down and chat with her about all the things and learn about her and where she came from and what happened and how she got to where she is and what drew her to that. Without further ado, thank you for listening to this long intro. I'm not used to doing this. How long is this? Oh my God, almost 10 minutes. That's just too long. I don't want to hear myself talking for that long. Thanks for listening, and really hope you enjoy my conversation with Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Very excited.
Catherine and I had so many scheduling issues, which is not uncommon with us moms. It's just like sick kids. I was sick. You were sick. I mean, just like
meetings.
Yeah. Just trying to run a business and, so, and as I came into your beautiful home, you reminded me that we knew each other from our previous lifetime. Well, this lifetime, but
maybe we had laughed together. Maybe we'd rolled eyes about where we were sitting next to each other. In auditions,
commercial auditions in LA. It's so funny. So, Catherine, where are you from originally?
Kentucky, Louisville.
Oh, right.
Middle of the country.
And did you grow up because one of my dearest friends grew up on a farm in Louisville.
Yeah.
So you grew up on a farm.
I didn't. I grew up in town, but I went to school an hour and 10 minutes in the country. I went to school in the country.
Oh.
So it was on 30 acres and really beautiful and horses all around the school.
Oh, stunning.
It was beautiful.
And so did that kind of start your love of food and farming? And, is that where that was born from?
Yeah. My grandparents who lived in Louisville were very into growing their own food. We went to U-Pick farms. I mean, my grandmother is, dirt under her nails most of the time. And so I became obsessed because my grandparents would be like, you have to freeze blueberries, pick sugar snap peas. I mean, that was just come, if you want to hang out with me, come sit down. And she had a big thing of bacon grease on, there wasn't oil or butter. Yeah. She just cooked with bacon grease. Yes. Oh, so yum. A big jar above the stove. So I think that she had a kumquat tree. So I would sit there and eat kumquats. I just think at a very young age, it was just this is, it was part of growing up. Totally normal.
Unlike my child who wakes up and says, can I have some Doritos? But we'll get to that in a minute. Wow. So you really have had this sort of mentality and lifestyle since you were a child.
Well, even I will say that that was always the mentality, but I did grow up with this yin yang, which was I was eating fresh food. We sat down at 5:30 every night with my parents. That was tradition. But I also grew up in a generation of fast food and prepared food. So it was sort of this, KFC and McDonald's.
Right.
So it was part of me was getting this just fresh, real food. And the other part of me was just getting horrible processed GMOs. My mother had this little dish of saccharin tablets, and that was the only sugar we got in our house. So I would sit there and just be I mean, I can't even imagine what's running through my veins, but yeah.
Wow.
But even modeling, I will say because I started modeling at such a young age, traveling around the world and really seeing different cultures and the way that people ate and being I lived in Mexico even as an exchange student when I was 12. And, that sense memory of smelling homemade tortillas and watching kids eat spicy food and, kids in India having these incredible flavors. Yeah. And then you come back to America and it's just macaroni and cheese and white chips. And so there, I think my whole perception of food has always been just curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah. So you left Kentucky to go to college?
No, I left Kentucky. No, I actually started because I started modeling when I was 13. I started by the time I was 17. I had been modeling all through high school, going to New York or Paris or wherever. And then I sort of quote unquote hit it big when I was 17. Mm-hmm. And my dad, I got college scholarships and my dad was like, well, you basically have a choice. You can go and you can make money and you can save it. And then you can decide when you really know, opposed to a lot of 18-year-olds that go to college and what am I supposed to do?
Sure.
Or I could go to college. So I ended up bizarrely enough choosing modeling and I went to culinary school at a later time.
Got it. So you did that. You did figure out what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
And that's amazing. And did you go to culinary school here?
In New York.
In New York.
I went to the Institute of Culinary Education.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
It was really fun.
I bet it was so fun.
Yeah. I'm an endless student. If I could just go to school and get different degrees and
me too.
Right?
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, God, when can I go to culinary school?
It's
I gotta
so
wait
fun.
a little bit. But maybe I could go now. I'm sure there's some in LA.
Yes.
But that's amazing. So how old were you when you decided to do that?
Culinary school?
Yeah.
I think I was, I'll tell you when. I was at 10 blocks from the Trade Center. And I was supposed to go see the culinary school on 9/11.
Oh my God.
I had a morning appointment. And we got trapped in our apartment. It's obviously, we all know how that went down.
Yes.
But then that was it for me. That was my epiphany. 3 weeks later, I was this happened and this is the time of my life that take it now, make the change or never. And that was it.
And then after you graduated from there, what kind of work did you pursue then?
I worked in restaurants and catering companies and I was still trying to have a day job of acting and modeling. And I just was so not fulfilled, but I sort of couldn't get out of it in a way.
Yeah.
And really spent a good year and a half, if not more, trying to really figure out what I wanted to do. And then I got pregnant with my son, and that was really the beginning of it, where I was I had this baby and I was totally lost. And, it's just such a massive transition for women.
Yeah.
And sort of when I came out of the other side, when he started eating, and I was so fascinated with it. And I had always shopped at the Hollywood Farmers Market every Sunday to buy all of our food. And so I was I'm going to start making homemade baby food. This is going to be so much fun. And I went online and I was just researching, trying to figure out how do you make kids great eaters from day one? Where are the homemade baby food recipes? And it was really just jarred food. And so I just was maybe I'll blogs had just really was the evolution of blogs.
Yes.
So I started this little blog called Weelicious, and that was the beginning.
Wow. And so you just experimented on your son, basically.
Oh, my poor 3 children, they are my experiments. I feel bad, but at the same time, they, that's the only way to really learn in a good way. They're good experiments.
Yeah.
And they know it. I tell them all the time.
Yeah. Oh, so wonderful. Well, I remember someone recommended your book to me when my son, he's 9.5 now. I think he was, I don't know, I guess he was starting on solid foods. And so I bought your book, one of them, and then I bought the other one later. How many books do you have now?
2, but my third comes out January 2020.
Oh, yes.
I just started writing it.
Oh, can't wait. Okay.
Yesterday. No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. And because you have so much time to write a book.
Exactly.
But I remember getting the book, and I remember literally reading it cover to cover, because that's what I did at the time. Anytime I had an issue, I don't even know how many sleep books I bought. Oh. And the funny thing is now, looking back, my kids slept great. I just was in so much, because I had postpartum depression. I think I was in so much discomfort that I thought in those books there'd be an answer to something else, or if I could get him to sleep more. He was sleeping plenty, but I just was looking for an answer. And same with your book. I was okay. And it was so great, because the first few years he would eat a lot of different things, and I did that thing where you introduce the stuff early. But now I got to tell you, and I don't want the whole interview could become you coaching me, but so we won't let it go there. Oh my gosh. He just wants carbs. He just wants processed foods.
It happens.
Oh my gosh.
It's not your fault. It's I blame America. I'm evil. I'm that I've become like darker in the past year about, don't blame parents. It's it's what we've created. That's what the food industry has created.
At least he will eat. He is a carnivore, so he will eat. He loves filet. He will request filet. I'm like, yes. Let's cook up a filet. That's fine. I got a dry rub. I can do that. But any kind of vegetable, or I'm very lucky if I can get him to eat a raw carrot, raw cucumbers. He loves Granny Smith apples. But if I cook it up or do anything Jules Blaine Davis.
Of course. Yeah.
So she showed me how to do roasted apples, make applesauce. So easy, right?
Transform.
He will not.
Really? Is it textural? Maybe.
I'm not sure.
The way that I look at it is, and there are different ages and different stages, and I believe that it can be reversed, or not even reversed, added on. We can, but I do think that there is a lot to the fact that we as parents control our children. That's our job.
Yeah.
And they have so little say about where they go to school, who their friends are, what they're going to wear.
Yes.
So food is the one thing children can control.
Yeah.
And I think that they sort of, at a very young age, before their little brains are even really developed, they realize their power in food.
Yes.
And so their go-tos are really the only things that they this is my set. This is it. This is my way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of kids can be altered and molded. And then there are some kids that are just it can be everything from textural to like Jules was saying, you can do raw vegetables or roast them or fry them or, puree them, whatever it is. But I also think that some kids really do, like I see it with my children, that they can, like, you can add on to, you know, as time goes on.
Yeah. Well, like just the fact that he's eating filet now is a big deal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's good.
What changed it? Do you remember that, like,
yes,
all of a sudden?
Totally. So I started cooking when he was like 2, I guess. And that's during the time I got your book and a bunch of other cookbooks. And I just started cooking. And then I had another friend, my friend Lily, who's also going to come on the show. And she went to culinary school. She went to somewhere in what are those mountains in New York?
Oh, she went to the Culinary Institute of America. Yes.
I think so.
CIA.
And she's magnificent also. And both of her children eat beautifully. And we were in rye class together.
Oh,
I think you guys did rye.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we were on this side of town rye, but I don't, anyway, so what was my point in bringing this up? She inspired me to like start cooking more. And so I just sort of was self-taught because I didn't grow up in a household where cooking was a thing. It just wasn't. My mom didn't like cooking. She would do it and prepare us, you know, healthy meals, but it just wasn't like the joy of the culinary art wasn't present.
Oh yeah. My mom just was like, just get it on the table. Yeah. I didn't say that. We sat together, but I didn't say that she enjoyed it.
But it sounds like from your grandmother, that's where the real love of it came.
Totally.
So I sort of self-taught. Anyway, one of the things I learned how to do was to cook a filet, oh my God, it's just the most decadent thing. And it's so simple. And so I started researching like dry rubs and then putting the dry rub on and then leaving it in, you know, the fridge for a day, kind of like brining, which by the way, we just had Thanksgiving before we're recording this. So I brined the turkey just as you're on your website. There's a brining recipe.
Love it.
It was so good.
It makes me so happy. Isn't brining just the best thing ever? It transforms food. I know. So
it was
juicy.
So delicious. And I made your cranberry cornbread stuffing
Oh,
recipe.
yay.
Huge hit.
Oh, I love that.
And I used the green beans recipe, which you had, which was very simple, but I needed to know like the time and the temperature I had a fantastic Thanksgiving. So thanks to you.
That. Yay.
But so I did the dry rub and I did the filet and he ate it. This was like, maybe he was 6 or 7. He was like, oh, I need more of that. I need more of that. It was so interesting.
Isn't that the best though? It is. I mean, and
it's like a win. I win.
Exactly. And as soon as your kids do like something, you're like, oh God, wait a minute. I got to make that all the time now. Totally. I can't burn them out on it.
Totally.
But yeah, I do think that look, my son is 11. He's a vegetarian. He's been a vegetarian since he was 5.
Yeah.
Self-imposed. Yeah. But he eats everything.
Yeah.
And my middle daughter, total carnivore, can't get enough meat in her body.
Interesting.
Will eat absolutely anything except for orange cheese. And it is or stinky cheese. Mozzarella fine, white fine. Yeah. She made this very firm decision. There is no altering it. So she eats everything else. So that's good. And then my baby will pretty much eat everything. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating. You know what I mean? Like how, why.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So you have your son, you're online researching, you're like, hey, there's nothing there. What happened? You
know what? I became like truly obsessed with the community. I think that being a first-time mom is the most insular experience. And it's gotten so much worse. I mean, our mothers had community, maybe cousins, sisters. Like I found myself in Los Angeles with no family, not a lot of friends because I'd be like, you know, modeling and acting and like being very transient.
Yeah.
I had like literally one like mom community.
Yeah.
And so when I started this blog, I started going on back then it was chat boards,
right?
You know, right. Facebook little groups were just beginning.
Yeah.
And I started just connecting with all these women, like literally around the world, like you were saying. And it was like awesome. I mean, it was like they were sending questions and I was experimenting and it just really quickly became this community of different parents with one single goal. How do I feed my kid and make them a great eater from day one? And so then I had Kenya, and then 2 years later to the date, I had Chloe. And so it just then it was like baby foods. And then the next stage is which that ends very fast. And then it's toddler food. And then it really became that we were now a family of 4. And I was like, I don't want to be a short order cook. I don't want to make something different for everyone every night. I want my kids to be great eaters. So that was the idea behind Weelicious, One Family, One Meal, which was my first cookbook.
Yeah. Wow. So, and how did you set about writing a book and getting it published? And
I know.
What was that process like?
It was really that the Weelicious community was growing and growing fast. And then I started doing TV appearances and writing small articles. And then I went and took the book out and it got, just sold quickly. And it was a 2-book deal. So that by that time I was my kids were going to preschool and I was sending them lunches every day. And I became fascinated with lunches and watching kids stuff their hands in a brown paper bag and maybe pulling out one thing. And I just fell in love with the idea of bento boxes and really getting to see all their choices. So it's interesting because so much of Weelicious, it's not just me and what my kids are eating, but it's really people, their questions, their experiences, and them saying, well, I need this now and I need this. So it's really, that's where much of it has come from.
Yeah. And so what is sort of the next thing for you? I mean, you're writing this next book.
I'm writing this next book, which comes off of a story, which was that my son got sick about 3 years ago and he was getting headaches and nausea. And it was this very rough time where, you see your child in pain and he's the child that never complains about anything. He could break his arm and he probably wouldn't tell you. So I would see him just so uncomfortable. And so we were going to doctors and nutritionists and really, trying to figure it out, figure out what was the matter with him. And I too was reading a lot of books, from different doctors. And I read this one book, it's called by Kelly Dorfman, How to Get Your Kids to Eat Everything. And it had this line about smoothies. And I was like, all right, well, the one thing I know with my child especially is that if I give him the power of choice, it makes a massive difference. So I always tell parents, if you have a kid that won't eat anything, be like, I'm going to give you 2 choices. Do you want carrots or cucumbers? Do you want chicken or fish?
Yes.
It's really your choice.
That's the old
totally, totally. It's really your choice. But
but these are the only choices.
Exactly. They don't know that. So that night, I did this horrible drawing of different fruits, vegetables, proteins, and carbohydrates, and just a picture of a banana and a little picture of a hemp seed. And I let him go through and circle all the things that he wanted in his smoothie net the next morning.
Wow.
We made this whole list. And so I made him a smoothie. And within 3 weeks, all of his headaches, his nausea, everything was gone. Everything. And it's 3 years later, we all have a smoothie every morning. So my 3rd book is called The Smoothie Project. And it's literally that I believe that, he was a vegetarian and I was giving him pancakes and waffles. And
he wasn't getting enough nutrients.
He wasn't. And how was I expecting him to go to school with his brain fired, ready to go for the day when I'm giving him these foods that were just making him want to fall asleep.
Yes.
And not feel good. And his body just wasn't processing them properly. So it's been it's been a real journey. I mean, I really started writing this book about 3 years ago when this all started. So it's really a transformative book about the power of no matter what's going on with you. Do you remember Vogue magazine? They'll have in your 20s, if you use this product, in your 30s, in your 40s.
Yeah.
Well, I look at the Smoothie Project in the same way, that I believe that from birth to AARP, we can change our health by just having a smoothie or that first thing, you can get fruits and vegetables and protein in your body, in your child's body. I mean, watching my mother and my mother-in-law start adding smoothies into their diet and seeing how their reaction being like, wow, I'm like full and I feel good. And so it's been like this fun journey.
Oh, you're inspiring me to get my blender out, my Vitamix out. Yeah. Cause I used to do that before and then I stopped. I don't know why.
You know, food is always stages. You know what I mean? You're like, I always feel like, especially as adults, like we bring one thing in that's like working for us. It's lemon water. It's, you know what I mean? Something healthy.
Yeah.
So for us, it's definitely smoothies.
And I love, because, you know, those of you, and this will be in the show notes for everyone who's listening, we'll have links to your Instagram and your website and everything. But you can see on your Instagram, which I love following you and seeing your youngest daughter, which I've been watching her do this for the last several years. Just you put her on the counter and you put a smoothie in front of her with a straw in it. And we just watch her just suck that entire sucker down. It's
the funniest thing. I mean, and that all started. So that was all like, we had been months into, you know, Kenya, my oldest son, having all of us at this point having smoothies. And so we're all standing around at breakfast. And she was like, I don't know, I guess almost 10 months old. And she'd just be bobbing her head trying to drink. And like, she taught herself how to drink with a straw, which is actually like teaching babies how to drink with a straw is great for fine motor, oral development, early speech and language.
Wow,
it's really amazing just because you're learning to use those muscles in your mouth. And the next thing you know, we just propped her up. We thought it was the funniest thing, seeing this little baby just like suck down a smoothie. And it's like goes against like baby food. It's baby food. Yeah. But it's so packed with nutrients. It's not just these single serve pouches or whatever. So yeah, it just became this thing, and people, you know, online thought it was just like so funny. So, but now she's 3 years old and she like gets on the stool, I can't get her down. Yeah. She just every morning she's like, wakes up. She's like, where's my smoothie? She goes over, she jumps on the counter, she drinks it in like 4 sips, and she steps down and off she goes.
So the next book's going to be all smoothies?
It's all smoothies. Yeah. It's all different flavors and like what's good for.
I don't know if I can wait till 2020. I'm so excited for that.
Me too. I know. It's great. It's great. It's really great.
Well, you're reminding me that I guess when my son was, and I think this is all part and parcel. So, and I've shared this on the show before. So my son is dyslexic. He also has central auditory processing disorder, and some vision stuff, which many of those things usually go hand in hand. But before we knew all of that, he was having these headaches and he was having stomach aches and he just was struggling in school. Part of it was the environment, this sweet little school that I still love so much. I know
that school too. I second that.
It's such a sweet school, but it just wasn't the right fit for him. Mm-hmm. So, because it was just too chaotic and like the sound, the auditory stuff. But anyway, I took him to Dr. Kathy Lippman. You might know her. Okay. Anyway, she was a pediatrician for many years in LA, like all through the 80s. And she had her own practice with another doctor. And she kept seeing these kids come in that were being diagnosed ADHD. And she was like, nope, that's not what's going on. And they were basically malnourished.
Yeah.
And so I brought him into her. She was referred to me through our pediatrician and then our therapist who ended up diagnosing him with dyslexia. But she did all these biofeedback tests on him with this really wonky machine where it's like, anyway, she said, oh, he's horribly deficient in all these nutrients. Yeah. And so it's
Did you explain that to him?
Saying.
Did you communicate?
Absolutely.
Did he get it?
Well, he was, at that time, I think he was 6, so he completely understood. But he still has this thing where, so she gave us this really yucky liquid vitamin that he did, bless his heart, he took it. And we did a sticker chart and everything, which I'm not that into, but he did it for like a year and a half. And then he was like, I just can't take it anymore, you know? And so he hasn't been doing it, but I am inspired by this today, and I'm going to...
So there's a chart on Weelicious. If you go on Weelicious.com, I think, and you put in Smoothie Project, there is the sheet. You can print it, laminate it, and he can circle it, like the things that he wants to put, and you can just buy them. And I think that that's such a great thing for kids to be like, he will own his own health, and just say, like, you'll buy it, he can make it. It makes it really fun. I mean, my son, I make a different flavor smoothie absolutely every day. And I think that it keeps it fun and interesting. interesting.
Yeah.
And
it's also like you're saying, it's empowering to them to say, you know, this is my body. I'm choosing what I'm putting in my body.
Yeah, but we put everything from frozen cauliflower or kale or spinach. And like, if your kids are color sensitive, like they want just like a bright pink smoothie, that's why we do the frozen cauliflower.
When I do the green, mine always end up just this hideous green. And he's like, yeah, brown green. And he's like, I'm not drinking that.
No, the secret ingredient to getting a vegetable in is frozen cauliflower because it makes it really creamy. You don't taste it at all.
Okay.
But you still, because like the goal is if you can get your kid out the door having 1 or 2 fruits and vegetable and like either hemp seeds or protein powder or nuts or whatever in their smoothie, you've like, it's such a win because as a parent, then when they want the chips or the macaroni and cheese, you're like, well, they've already had 2 vegetables, like checked off your list by 7:30 in the morning.
That's incredible.
I mean, I think it just, for parents, because it's such a, like a, you know, there's 21 meals and snacks a week. It's like an endless, no, it's like, it's for parents. It just doesn't, food is the one thing that doesn't go away.
Yeah. Oh, and that's what I was going to say that I forgot to say earlier was that, no, you're good. We both have these long legs that we're trying to like stretch out. Was that, oh my gosh, have we already been talking this long? I could talk to you forever. So, when Dr. Colgrove, we took him to see Dr. Colgrove for the whole assessment. It was like a 14-hour process over obviously several days for him to get diagnosed with dyslexia and the CAP. Actually, that was we had to take him to an audiologist for that. This was all in 2nd grade. So I said, you know, he won't eat certain things. He just won't eat. And this was after we'd seen Dr. Lippman and she had said, you know, and he didn't want to do the vitamins. And I said, and in preschool, he wouldn't poop. He would hold his poop in and then he would poop his pants at school.
Sweet boy.
And the teachers were so sweet. They'd be like, so you need to bring another extra set of underwear because we had to use this, like whatever. And this is sort of gross, but I remember she would hand me a baggie with this poop underwear in them. And I'm like,
we could throw
I don't
away.
need that.
Go ahead. It's okay.
I don't need that bag. You know, but, and Dr. Colgrove said, those are the things that children can control. Oh, you can't make someone poop and you can't make someone eat.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, that's true. It's like a control thing. Like
it's totally control. It's exactly what the poop. Yeah. But I think it's such a win. That's why I like empowering kids to make the choice, like letting them, because like, I really think, I mean, look, I'm all for like, you can, because we do it. I'm not going to, you know, like you can have dessert if you eat your dinner,
of course.
You know what I mean? And all that. But I do think the power of choice is so deep and rich because I think it really helps in so many ways with kids.
Yeah.
Because they're just like poor things. I look at my kids and I'm like, oh my God, you're so controlled.
Yeah.
Like go do your homework, make your bed.
Yeah,
you know?
a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Like my son just recently discovered video games.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I know.
Are you dealing with this?
Yeah, my girls don't care at all about it. And my son is like, it's like drugs.
When he's 11. Yeah, it's like drugs.
It is.
So we finally just had to say no video games during the week.
Oh no, we're firm about it. Yeah. I mean, you saw my son, like he's allowed like 2 minutes in the morning to play like a Sudoku or something like that.
Yeah. Oh no, we're in the car on the way to the bus and he's on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like crack.
It is. Oh, and it only gets worse because then it's like, the unfortunate thing is like they're social. Like my friends are playing and I want to play with them. And I know this is a rabbit hole. I can have this rabbit hole conversation every day.
I don't know what to do about it. And now he wants a phone. He wants his own phone.
We've done something in school. Well, it was social media. We've signed contracts of like wait till 8th. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So we've tried that. I mean, but it's hard because then you have like,
all their friends have it.
All their friends have, like my friend has an iPad and a phone. We've just been like, sorry, we're just mean. We're okay with being
I want
mean.
a phone. I need a phone. The bus is on. I'm like, oh my God.
Are they allowed to bring phones on the bus?
Yes.
Really?
And there's teenagers on the bus. So he's heard all these horrible words on the bus, which it's fine because I'm very open with him. I've always been like, if he hears something and he wants to know what it is, I explain what it is. But there's been some conversations where I was like, okay, we're having this conversation now.
Oh, God.
Because there's middle schoolers and high schoolers on the bus.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Oh, God. What we deal with.
He's like, I want a phone so that I can do this on the bus. And I'm like, wow. And then I go to, well, is it a safety thing? Does he need a phone? But then I'm thinking, well, what did we do before we had cell phones? I mean, you just looked out the window or you talked to your friend.
Or you can get him a phone that literally has a one-way to you, and that's it.
Yeah, seriously.
Like a flip phone.
Yeah.
I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Is your flip phone? He's going to hold that and be like,
could you imagine if I gave him a flip phone? He'd be like, oh, Mom. But yeah, no, the technology thing is really scary. And then the Instagram thing, like, I don't think any of his friends have Instagram, but I know there are children his age that have their own Instagram.
Oh, no, we're not. Yeah, no, we're not. I know.
That terrifies
just
me.
Wait, you got like 2 more years when it's like, I know. It's like, it scares me. It scares me.
Because wait, is your son in middle school?
11. He's 11. He's in 6th grade.
Okay.
So he
First
goes
year of middle school.
Our school. Our school is K through 6, and then they 7th grade. But it's. I know. And he's a young 11. So
yeah,
I know, but that video stuff, but we do our best. We're trying because we see like how it messes up their brains. They won't go to bed. They can't. I mean, I go to all those panels, like listening to, what it does, that it is. It's like a drug. I truly believe, and it's terrible. I believe phones are the new cigarette.
You're right.
They are.
You're right.
They're going to kill us. Sorry.
Well, and there's all this research now, and I need to go. I keep saying I'm going to do this, but I need to get those glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the blue light and how it affects.
Totally.
Because I'm a writer, so I'm on my computer a lot, and I'm on my phone way too much. And my new phone has this thing where once a week it'll be like, here's your screen time update. And it's frightening.
Oh no, my friend who you saw this morning who was staying with us last night, she's like, I'm addicted. It's a problem. She's like, I wake up in the middle of the night, I want it.
Yeah.
I was like, I was laughing at her. I was like, are you serious? She doesn't have children. And I was like, because as a parent, I'm just like, tuckered out. But I mean, she and I were talking about it just because we have to have social media for work. And I'm trying, I really don't look at it anymore. I try very hard to just do as minimal as possible because it's such a time suck.
So that's interesting. I want to actually talk to you and get some advice about that, because now doing this podcast, like being integrated with the social media for me is part of my job. I need to interact a little bit, and I need to do this. And I have a team that helps me with that, thank goodness. But how do you sort of separate yourself from that? Because you do need to kind of post every day. And as a fangirl of yours, I can say I honestly really treasure watching your stories and listening to you talk to me about stuff and what you're doing and showing me things. So I'm appreciating it. But I'm like, wow, she's really having to.
Well, I authentically do it. I do it all myself. I don't have anyone else do it for me. So, I mean, it's a catch for me because like writing a book and like having like all that feedback from people, because that is the human reaction, the human touch, to be able to communicate with people. So, but it's just that I don't sit there and like, for anyone I follow, let's say, like, I just can't get too like, it's stories and live and like, there's just so much. So I keep it as like focused as I possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And try not to have my phone on my kids, which is the hardest part.
Right.
I mean, it's just because that's how we work today.
Sure. It's part of it. No, I had Catherine Hahn on the show.
Oh, I know. She's the best.
So she was talking about how, because I was sharing with her that my son at the time, this was like maybe 6 months ago, he was like, Mom, put your phone down. And I was like, oh God, you're right. I'm so sorry. And so I like turned it off, put it away. And I was like, I'm totally with you. And she said, I get it. She said, but it's my office.
It is. Oh, it's the reason that I can be the mother I am, actually.
Totally.
I have the luxury. I have a lot of luxuries within that. And I think my children do understand that. I've created parameters for myself too. Like I try really as much as possible to keep like everything about like that it's work. But even if I share like stories or anything, it's like food related, family food related. Yeah. It's tricky. It's so tricky. I don't know how in this day, and now we're all so much more accountable. It used to be like, you got home from work at 5:30.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you're accountable at 11 o'clock at night. Someone can always find you. I just want to disappear.
I know. And that's where it comes down to like, having really healthy boundaries.
Yeah, totally.
And just saying, nope, I'm off the clock, not responding, And
it's good.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's really important to do that. So speaking of healthy boundaries, How do you do self-care? Just for you?
Oh, I don't. I'm very open about this right now. You know what? It's not the stage of my life. I have this conversation with women possibly every day. I really do. I mean, I was talking I went into a meeting the other day and I had to go to the bathroom. I just had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I sat down and she said, "Do you need anything?" And I said, "Oh, no." She's like, "If you need to use the bathroom," I said, "Well, I need to, but I'll be fine." She goes, "That's self-care." That at a minimum for mothers, it's so sad when you just won't even go to the bathroom because you're like, I gotta go. I gotta keep working.
Yeah.
So my self-care these days is just saying, can I go to the bathroom?
Excuse me, can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah. I mean, everything's gone by the wayside. But you know what? But like, I'll be completely honest. My self-care is being with my children. That is not like a romantic thing to say. I don't mean it in that way.
Yeah.
It just really is what my heart, like, it's just, I'm at a place in my life where, I'm just having to work probably more than I want. That is probably healthy.
Yeah.
So when I'm with my kids, I'm like pretty much in heaven. It really is. No, I really genuinely, it's great. And I really take time to like watch their dynamic and, we're molding little beings. And I really want them to, to feel like they had a good childhood and that they, that they're having connection. And that's why, like so much of what Weelicious and One Potato are about is like I grew up getting to have dinner at 5:30 and like I cherish that time, that dinner table time. And I think for kids these days between technology and parents are just like, just eat. And I get that, you know what I mean? Just like, but they'll like let them have the iPad at dinner. And there's no judgment to this. It's just like what I need. And like what I see my kids need is like, what was your day like? And, trying to even make it more finite, not because my husband and I laugh because like the first question we always ask our kids are, who'd you sit next to at lunch today? Yeah. And now it's gotten to the point my kids are like, don't ask me who I sat next to. It's the same answer as it was 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah. But just really having that like, just like communication and like, I cherish it so much every day.
Yeah. No, it's my son is still very, he loves to cuddle and he loves being touched and he loves for us to like snuggle on the couch and hold hands. And we were watching a Christmas movie last night and the fire was going and the tree lights were on.
I can't.
I just thought I'm so grateful for this because I know from my friends who have older kids who are, some of them are off at college. They're like, they leave and it's over. And I'm like, no.
That's why we had a third child. I'm not even kidding.
I bet.
We had the boy and the girl, 2 years apart. It was perfect. And we just as we got further and further and further along, my husband was like, I don't want this to end. He was like, I just don't want to ever stop being a parent. I know that's why we birthed this little child.
And thank God you did. She is just delicious.
It's the best. And we'll get to be parents of, every time I say this, my husband gets upset. He's like, don't talk about it. But when Kenny and Chloe are in college, like we'll still get to, we'll get to be parents of like one child. But I don't mean that in a, I love you, Kenny and Chloe. I'm never leaving you.
Of course.
I'll be there forever.
Yes. You mean it will continue.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I always thought I'd have 3 kids, but that wasn't part of my story.
Well, I never thought I'd have 3 kids and here I am. So you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. But I love that idea because I'm an only child. So I love the idea of having but it's interesting because it is, and now it's just me and my son, which kind of always was because my husband left. He had to leave town for work when my son was 18 days old. So from the get-go, it was just like, it's just me and my little guy, and so we have this incredible bond. And he's very close with his father too. I'm so grateful. They have a wonderful relationship. And we're both very supportive of that. So I'm super grateful. But it's very interesting. There's just the 2 of us. And my mom, who has some social anxiety, she was very afraid to let me have play dates.
Oh, interesting.
So, and as an only child, I remember just begging her to have play dates. And I would spend hours by myself with my record player.
Oh, yeah.
And just like do that. And like, I would make up stories. I think that's what helped me become a storyteller.
See?
So, but he wants to have people over all the time. And our house is that house. I'm like, come spend the night, have friends over. Like, I don't care. Like I have 2 rules. I have a painting by my friend, Ashley Longshore. That's very precious to me that my husband gave me for our anniversary years ago. And then I have our piano that I bought for him. for my son. And I'm like, those are the only two things that are like precious. Everything else,
it's free game.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. There's probably been dog pee on it at some point or throw up. Like what? It doesn't matter. It's fine.
That's amazing.
But I love that. I love having that energy and just kind of that open door policy of like, so anyway, I don't know how I got off on that.
We digress.
Yes, but I wanted to ask you about one potato because you mentioned it. And so can you talk a little bit about one potato and what that is?
Yeah. So several years ago, it got to the point with Weelicious families and followers that they were just like, I have the cookbooks, I have the recipes, like just send me the food. I can't do it. I just can't.
Yeah.
And it was, so it was born of, of just really people wanting it. It's been like going to get my master's instead of going. There were a lot of who knew they're starting a business. Who knew? Everyone's got a great idea, but like really following it through. So we are now in 8 states on the West Coast. So it's so for anyone who doesn't know, One Potato is an organic, family-friendly food company. You get 2 or 3 meals. They're all organic. It's for families, like kids and adults. There's adult pricing. There's kid pricing. Everything's semi-prepared. So it's not like you're getting every single ingredient. Like we make homemade sauces and dressings. You get whole proteins. And it's like a real experience where we want like kids to learn how to cook. We want like that parent involvement. You get free cookie dough with every box. And it just makes cooking like that Instagrammable experience where it's just like protein and vegetable. It's very DIY because we know some kids like don't like certain things and other kids love more of one thing or another. So you get to pick your own meals. So it's just been so much fun. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done work-wise, building a company. But I'm just like endlessly passionate, and we're trying to go. We're working on 17 more states because we have 40,000 people on our waiting list. So we're just quickly growing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's just,
gosh.
But we're going to open up on the East Coast. I mean, open up a facility. So yeah, it's really fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And so, is there a separate website for that we can go to?
Onepotato.com.
Easy, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, the irony to it is that the first box we ever delivered in our alpha beta round was the day I gave birth to Gemma, and I home birthed. And literally, she was born, and that afternoon we got the first box. And I was like, as a mother now of 3, I was like, I don't know how I would cook. Like, it was just because the kids' schedules, it's so crazy. Yeah. So like, even for me, like One Potato like saves my butt because even my babysitter who's never cooked before, like she sends me pictures if I'm working and she's like, look what I made,
That's incredible.
Yeah. I came home the other day. My husband was cooking. I was like, oh, I'm so relieved.
And I'm thinking like, God, that would be such a great gift. Like I have a friend, Claire Bidwell-Smith. I don't know if you know her.
I know the name.
So she just had a baby.
Oh yeah.
And she has 2 older girls.
Yeah.
And gosh, that would be the perfect gift for her.
It is. It's great for new moms. It's great for anyone who doesn't know how to cook, or it's great for just like busy parents. And I mean, we have people that just are like, I don't want a menu plan. I don't want a grocery shop. I just want I don't want waste because it's the exact amount for you, which people love. So like me,
perfect.
Because I hate waste. It pains
God, it's the worst when I get berries. Usually it happens to my raspberries.
I know.
They go moldy and I'm just devastated. I have to throw the whole carton away. And at Whole Foods, that thing is like $6.99.
Exactly. It's expensive and you're like, ugh. So that's why I love this because, it doesn't go to waste.
That's perfect.
I know.
Oh, I
love
it.
It's fun.
So, okay, we have come to the time.
Oh, yay.
My lady, where I'm going to ask you 3 questions I ask of every guest, and then we're going to go into a lightning round of questions.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the first question is, Catherine, what do you think about when you hear the word MILF?
The same thing that I heard when Jennifer walked in the house and my 11-year-old son was sitting here, and then she was like, so what's the podcast? And I was like, ask Jennifer. And I didn't even know because I only saw it as MILF written out. And so I was like, as it started coming out of your mouth, I was like, oh God, earmuffs for my son, please.
And what I did was I said it really fast. I said, it's called MILF Podcast. That's moms I'd like to follow.
I was like, So yeah, that's what I think about it. But I love the name.
What is something you've changed your mind about recently?
I probably change my mind about things all the time. I don't know why when you're saying this, I'm just like social media, or like, or technology for my children. That's the one thing. I think that probably I would probably be the lazier parent. My husband is like rigid about technology and our children. So I would say the thing that I change is like I've actually gotten more firm because I grew up watching TV.
Me too.
So I'd probably be like, it's fine. Yeah. But I've changed my mind to be like a little bit more firm and create more boundaries.
Yes. I'm right there with you.
I'm sure I could have come up with a much more fun answer than that, but that's first thing that came to mind.
That's a great answer. How do you define success?
Happiness, 100%. To me, no, really. I mean, I think about it. I think about it like all the time. This morning I was driving, I was thinking about it. I think success it has to be a feeling. Can't be monetary. It cannot be your picture on the cover of something, or it's the satisfaction of small things. I think just, like you emailed someone and you were like, oh God, I don't want to. And they responded. Yeah. That's success. That's happiness.
Yes. Great answer. Okay. Lightning round of questions.
Okay.
Ocean or desert?
Ocean.
Favorite junk food?
Gelato, ice cream, anything of the cold, creamy substance.
Yum. Okay. I like ice cream. I don't usually like frozen yogurt, but a friend of mine turned me on to this place called Go Greek in Beverly Hills.
Oh, I've heard of it, but I've never been there. Really?
It rocked my world. I couldn't believe.
Because frozen yogurt sometimes gives me a stomachache because they put fake stuff in it.
It always gives me a stomachache.
But if it's sugar, I'm okay.
I'm sure there's sugar in it, but it's frozen Greek yogurt. And it was so good. It wasn't too sweet. I don't like it when something's really, really too sweet.
Yeah.
It was
Note to self. I guess I know where I'm going to go.
And the toppings you will love because they had like hemp seed, chia seed.
That.
Amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Bedford Drive in Beverly Hills.
Why are you telling me this? Don't tell me this. I'm for work. I'm always over there now. I'm going to be like, where's Go Greek? Where's Go Greek?
So anyway, blew my mind.
There you go.
Movies or Broadway show?
Movies.
Daytime sex or nighttime sex?
Anytime sex. not 24. I'm non whenever.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Cat person or dog person?
Dog person.
Have you ever worn a unitard?
I still own a unitard. We're talking the one from here to here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Own one, baby. Love it.
Shower or bathtub?
My heart is bathtub.
But your
watch my reality, is shower. My reality is where we get in.
Ice cream or chocolate?
Ice cream.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at ping pong?
Really good, because my dad came home from work every day, and that was the way we connected. We played pool or ping pong.
Oh, I played pool with my dad.
It's like that was our connection.
I became a pool shark.
I can still
Me too.
I can rock a pool or ping pong.
Me too.
Very little skill over here, but that's like that's my athletic skill.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Narcissists, people that like talk and like own it and don't give you any airspace. They're like, I wanted to say something.
If you could push a button and it would make everyone in the world 7% happier, but it would also place a worldwide ban on all hairstyling products, would you push it?
Yes. I mean, says the girl with a top knot who hasn't washed her hair in 5 days. Sorry, to TMI.
Superpower choice: invisibility, ability to fly, or super strength.
I have to travel so much these days. It would be that I could just fly somewhere and be there immediately.
Yes. Teleportation.
Is that one of the choices?
I think that should be the choice. Okay. We got to get a little weird. This is my weird question. Okay. Would you rather have a penis where your tailbone is?
A penis where my tailbone, okay.
Or a third eye?
I don't know why I'm going with penis where my tailbone is. I don't even know what I need to do with it or use it with it, but I'll get creative.
Okay, great. What was the name of your first pet?
Squeaky. It's my hamster.
What was the name of the street you grew up on?
Oh, yeah. I am Squeaky Apache. Trust me. I've done this before.
Squeaky Apache?
Oh yeah, because it's so good.
That's great.
It's such a good one.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I love a porn name. It's so good.
Yeah.
And all right, last question for you. Why is the first piece of paper over there burnt?
I'm so glad you asked that because yesterday, okay, so I love that you noticed.
I was like, what happened?
That you noticed. So yesterday I did an interview at home. I do it online. I had this woman in North Carolina. So I'm on my computer and I have this it's rose quartz candle holder, and I lit it and I had my crystals. I had my little amethyst crystal that my friend gave me who just passed away actually. And I made this little thing and and at the end of the interview, and then I finished the interview and I set this piece of paper that has the lightning round of questions on it. And I'm finishing up with her. And then I noticed this smell and I'm like, something's burning. I look over and it was just the edge of this piece of paper.
Well, I do that with towels. When I'm cooking, I'm notorious for putting a dish towel down and woof. So, and I'm at least it almost made me feel better that there was a burn mark in your, I was
Totally.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah, just wasn't looking for a second. And of course, I immediately thought of all the wildfires we just had here recently in Southern California. And I was like, that's how these things start.
One second.
Yeah. So Catherine, what a treasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yay.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Catherine. Next week on the show, our first interview of 2019 is going to be Alicia Willoughby, who is a physical therapist in Northern California who treats only moms, and she deals with restoring women's pelvic floor pre or post pregnancy. And I loved my conversation with Alicia. She's just so smart, and I learned a lot about my pelvic floor that I didn't know. I didn't actually even know that I had a pelvic floor. I kind of did, but again, it really made me realize how limited my knowledge was about all of that and how much I wished that I had known prior to getting pregnant, during my pregnancy, and certainly postpartum. So that's really cool. And I have a bonus episode coming up on New Year's Eve that is just me talking. Don't worry, it's not a whole hour, but it is just going to be me talking about New Year's, transitions, new beginnings, and setting intentions. I won't say too much about it because it's something I just came up with tonight, and I just emailed my team and said, "Hey, I'm going to do this thing. Is that okay?" It is okay because it's my podcast. Anyway, so I'm going to be bringing that to you guys on New Year's Eve. Just me, just talking about some stuff. And also, I forgot to mention this in the intro. So from interviewing all these amazing women, I've interviewed 30 women so far. And I was thinking about it and I thought, what's one of the things I've learned? And one of the many things I've learned is that they all have really strong habits. And they're all really dedicated to their habits. And so what I did was I pulled together the 7 habits of baller MILFs, because every woman I've had on the show is a total baller. And I've composed a list for you guys. So it's on my website. If you head to the website at milfpodcast.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'm not going to send you a newsletter every 5 seconds, but I said newsletter. I'm not going to send you news later. Hey, did you know this happened yesterday? News later with Jennifer Tracy. I don't know why I'm all of a sudden a stoner, but I'm recording this late at night and I'm not a nighttime person, so I'm a little loopy. So it's called The 7 Habits of Baller MILFs. Go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and you will receive this in your inbox. Happy New Year, you guys. I love you all. I'm so grateful for you, and I will be talking to you soon.